My friends, I cannot say enough how happy I am that we have this president of the United States, Donald John Trump. I cannot put into words, I cannot explicate, I cannot expatiate anything other than what we've said and what I've said. He was absolutely brilliant today. Brilliant. When he met with that horrible, rancid child, that moonbat, that benighted Gavin Newsom, he kind of hugged him, and I thought he was most professional, and he was speaking to the governor of California, and not as somebody who was a political adversary. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I'd love to hear them. I'd love to see what you think about this, about how this thing works, about what these people are about what you saw. It's very difficult sometimes for people to put personal feelings aside, but he showed an absolute ability to temper his feelings, to act like the mature, magnificent leader that he is. We are so happy, so lucky to have him as our leader. Who agrees with me? Who agrees with me? Who here can say they agree with me? Who is it? Who can say you are so correct? Who? Who is it? Who? Look at this. Hi from the UK. Did you happen to just catch me on the Sean Atwood? 2 hours on that show. What a good man. Seeing our great friends of the UK, a jaunty show, talking about, of all things, JFK and conspiracies. It was a wonderful time. I hope you saw it as well. Thank you so much. We love having all of our friends, look at this, Janice, Shadow Steve, Alfred E. Newman, everybody says, I agree with you. James Stewart does. This is the most important. This is the most important thing in the world. I love this man. I love this man. And he shows that when it's time, when you are California, when you're North Carolina, and he comes, you want him to speak to you in a way that says, I'm your president. It's reminiscent of what I've told you many, many times before of LBJ, who went to Louisiana. It was Hurricane Betsy, I think it was, in 1965, perhaps. In any event, he went as the president of the United States. And what he did was, it was so interesting. He was so wonderful. He walked into there was a black church, African-American church. And there he was among all of these folks, all of these people, and he walked in, and he walked in, and as they were so, what's the word? They were so overwhelmed, so distraught, so absolutely just terrified. He said, this is the president of the United States, and I'm here to help. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard in my life. It was so brilliant, and it showed yet again his, I don't know what the word is. It showed his sense of being the father figure, being, dare I say, paternalistic. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Look at this. This man, this billionaire who gets along so well with just regular folks. Watch this.
Whenever it started, we started moving our vehicles to the top of the road, and by the time we got the vehicles moved...
Now, by the way, let me just, I'm sorry. I shouldn't do this, but I will. Melania is there too. Melania is there. with her jacket and her boots, and she's wearing her hat, and they're standing off to the side and they're showcasing. And I love the way the president just puts his hand out and says, go ahead, it's okay. This woman, here she is speaking to the world in front of a lectern that has the presidential seal. And look how nice he is. Look how he's so kind. He's helping her out. Go ahead. No, go ahead. I love this.
Whenever it started, we started moving our vehicles to the top of the road, and by the time we got the vehicles moved, the water had already hit our ankles in the house. And so I grabbed my purse and my little pug dog.
Oh.
And my husband grabbed the dog food and put it in a trash bag. And by the time we got out into the driveway, it was already waist deep. And there were sticks and that kind of thing. I didn't think I was going to make it, but we did make it out. And
wow.
We made it to the top of the road, and we were kind of stuck there for hours because we couldn't get out any of the ways because it was flooded all the way around. It took us hours, and we sat there, and finally it receded enough to where we could actually get out. It was probably like close to midnight.
Let me stop right there. Maybe it's the trial lawyer in me. Maybe it's that part. I can't help it. But when somebody speaks in a way that is so honest, so it's something that is just so, how do I say this? Just the scene. She's so honest. She's sad. She's scared. She's eloquent. She is breviloquent. Is brevity and eloquence kind of like in a portmanteau? I'm sorry. I don't say I love this, but I love the honesty.
And it started like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. We just lost everything that we had. Didn't even have a brush for like 3 days. Thank you.
Look at this. Isn't that something?
Yeah, so when the hurricane storms hit North Carolina, hit our home, my daughter and my wife and I were actually out of town. But unfortunately, my dad was still at home, and my mother was staying at our house with our animals. And the waters got so high that it actually lifted between that and the tornado that came through, or microburst is what they've been calling them, and lifted his home and the house that I grew up in and crashed it into our barn. It took away his business. It took away all of our tools and tractors and everything needed to keep the farm going.
Let me stop right there. I don't want to just redo the whole thing, but do you ask yourself, where was Joe Biden? Where was Joe Biden? That one time. That son of a bitch, booty giggity giggity, who was breastfeeding his, just, this is a guy who has gold-plated this, his own plane, and he shows this absolute incredible honesty. Just this, look at this scene. Look at these. This is America. I'm sorry. This reminds me of the people that I knew growing up. This is Florida. This is the salt of the earth. This is what America is. Not anybody at the Academy Awards, not Diddy, not Bieber, not whoever it is, just regular folks like this. And when they lost everything, they mean they lost everything.
And my mother was trapped in the house, and there was no way to escape because the water got so high. The only thing she could do was ride it out and wait till the waters came down. So we've been doing a little bit of battling with our insurance and FEMA. We did have proper insurance with...
Oh, FEMA. Did you hear him today about FEMA? He was brilliant. FEMA. Doing a heck of a job, Barney. Heck of a job. This is incredible. Absolutely incredible.
With flood insurance and homeowners insurance, but since we had proper insurance, FEMA's not been able to assist us with a whole lot of things. And
Look at it. See that, Trump?
Again, we've been having some issues with trying to.
You see that look? Can you know what he's saying? Trump says, "Can you believe this shit?"
So we've been
Now watch this.
doing a little bit of battling with our insurance and
Watch
FEMA.
Trump.
We did have proper insurance with flood insurance.
Susie says
and
FEMA.
homeowners
Watch.
insurance. But since we had proper insurance, FEMA's not been able to assist us
look at
with
it.
a whole lot of things.
Look at this. He's looking at
And,
the knee like, "Can you believe this shit? Shit, see this?"
Again, we've been having some issues with.
That's a
trying to
look.
get
That's a kiss of death
some
right
payout
there.
for our insurance in
That's
a
it.
timely manner. We had to do mold mitigation on our home, which is extremely expensive, before the structural engineer even came out in order to get our flood payout. And to me, that was not really acceptable.
Has the insurance company been responsive or not really?
Not so much. You
Mm.
know, again,
Give you the money they have to give you?
I'm hoping so. And we need some assistance with that. We reached out to an
Oh.
attorney.
What's the name of the insurance company?
Oh, what's the name of the insurance company? Announce it. Announce it.
North Carolina Farm Bureau.
North Carolina. Well, they won't be in business that long. Okay, you got that one. You got the regulatory clause out for that one.
Um,
You got them moving, right?
yep,
That's terrible.
that's what we're after
Are
here.
a lot
So
of people having that problem too? With the insurance companies general?
Look at
Different
this.
Insurance companies? And they're all difficult or just the one particular one?
I've heard different stories from others, and
Have
a
you
lot
heard
of folks
some
are.
more responsive?
And I've heard some good instances of even Farm Bureau themselves. But in my case, you know, they
Can I ask you a question? Are you, I'm sorry, I don't mean to do this. Are you finding this? I hope you're not finding this. Well, I'm fascinated by this. I hope you are as well. I hope I'm not, I don't want to say waste your time, but this is, to me, this is just so pure. I hope you agree, because I'm watching this. And I think you agree.
sent out a third-party adjuster immediately. Well, they wound up firing that third-party adjuster group. He gave us a quote for a much higher estimate than what we received,
Uh-oh.
and then he got let go.
Uh-uh.
He got fired. So
Look
then
at
they
that.
brought in another third-party adjuster to come in and lowball us. We've not received any kind of so.
Look at this woman in the
The
back.
flood
She's
insurance is
freezing.
our primary insurance, and so there was roof leaks in the home that the inspectors found the adjusters. Well, that contributed to us losing some of our personal property as it come in the third story where there's no, or second story living space, where the flood water, well above the flood waters.
By the way, two things. Look at how good this guy is in explaining. He's excellent. And look at the little girl. She has no idea. This is the president of the United States. You're a part of history. You're going to be, they came, look at this. Look at you see the door in the back? You mentioned Joe Biden, Jill, Kamala, unburdened by the past or whatever it is. Again, booty giggity. Nobody. They don't care.
So they've neglected us for,
Your mother saved?
yes, she's safe.
So
Yep,
you wrote it down?
she's right here.
Okay.
So we made it.
Oh, look at Mom. It is surreal
That's
how he
right.
relates. Somebody said right now, it's very surreal the way how he relates. I cried how awful they had been treated. Just awful. It's
How scared were you?
Very.
Did you think you were going to make it?
No.
You didn't
see,
think
I,
so?
Nope. I just started praying.
So you were sort of on a boat. Your house became a boat.
It's a big pontoon.
That's some story.
Beach house on the steps.
by the way, let me tell you what he's doing. This is something called Rogerian active listening, and it's a technique. He may not know this, but it's a technique that's done sometimes in therapy, and it works like this, where you say something like, "It sounds like you're this." You kind of you're telling them, "I know what you're saying, and you're very afraid. You were afraid, weren't you? You didn't know what to do, did you? I understand it. I'm listening to you. I'm hearing it. I'm interpreting it. I'm giving it right back." It's very, very effective. Great. It's called active listening. Very good.
This guy would like to say something.
I was next door to.
I see. First of all, I love this guy right off the bat. Right off the bat. This is a guy that I can tell you right now, I love this guy. I've known this guy my whole life. I've known him before. I've known him in, I've just known him. I've known him my life. I've known so many people who look like this. They remind me, I'm telling you, I can relate more to this than to New York.
The house, and my son was out of town, so when he came in to Charlotte to my sister's, he called about 2 in the morning because at midnight the water was still in the stream, within the banks. So when he called, the water was coming up. So I started moving vehicles up to about 5:30 in the morning.
Look at the way Trump's looking at him. Look at the way Trump's looking at him, by the way. Just Brad says, I hope he gets all that. I hope he gets all them companies in check. Oh, yes, indeed, indeed. Look at Trump's look in his face. This is empathic. He's listening to this. He's not just, this isn't just some little, some photo op. He is there. And here is a billionaire president of the United States talking to Xi Jinping, was negotiating $600 billion from MBS in Saudi Arabia. And now he's talking to Buddy Strickland here. And it's like they're all friends.
And she was in the house, and I pulled up to the steps, and I said, hop on the fender and I'll get you out. Well, he built a beach house on stilts, 5 times higher than the floodplain. And she said, well, he said I'd be okay. So I'm staying with the dogs. So I went to higher ground with some vehicles, hers included, and the water covered everything. But I'd already seen it come around both sides of my place. So I got my blind and deaf dog and a bag of valuables. And
my blind and deaf dog. I mean, doesn't your heart just, a bag of his blind and deaf dog? I'm sorry. This is.
Took up off the side of the hill behind my house, and then was heading to the cemetery back there because I knew it was open, because there was trees falling and uprooting. It was raining.
You never saw anything like that?
No, I've been through floods all my life around there. Never nothing.
Now remember this. Trump says something later about, I've never seen anything like this.
But you're okay, right?
Yep. House destroyed.
Look at that.
Well, we're gonna help you out. We're gonna help you out.
Appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
Anybody else? You guys okay?
Our day that morning began a little taller with some trees falling into our house, which our house goes back 4 generations, 80 years, and never came close to flooding.
Wow.
And we woke up with trees about 4:30 or 5 in the morning, and our house sits 3/10 of a mile back off the road, and the water, we've had flooding and such in the lake, but nothing like we saw. And like most everybody else, we moved 5 vehicles as far up, and lawnmowers and everything else, and the water started coming in the house. And when I got up to about ankle high, we have a loft. I got her up in that and tried to gather what you might want, which was totally random. And when it made it to the loft and started getting up to about her hips, I built a little makeshift ladder, and we got out on our roof. And we spent 4 hours on the roof. I had a little baggie. I did notes on my cell phone to my 2 kids and my 2 grandkids, and something to identify me in case we were lost.
Oh my God. Oh.
No, we're.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we didn't think we were going to make it at all. I mean, our house was 25 feet underwater.
Oh
I
my.
didn't think you were gonna live.
No, we were watching houses, trailers, bodies.
Can you imagine that writing, just identifying yourself? when if something happens to you, so that people can identify you. This is just wow. And he speaks about it so matter-of-factly, but so bravely and so heroically. This is incredible.
Coming by us. And we live in the Azalea Road area in East Asheville.
That's right, Karen Peterson. They're real
And we
people.
watched our garage float by.
Oh,
But, we got to a point where it crested about 4 feet up on the roof. We took about 3 or 4 hours for it so we could kind of do everything in reverse and got out in the mud to higher ground. And I got out higher ground up to a subway and got over to her daughter's house, where when she saw that I didn't have her, she lost it. And I was like, she's okay, she's alive. And we tried to make our way back in there and gather things best we could. But, found a body right away. There's about 8 bodies in our area the first 2 weeks located. And we were lucky we weren't one of them and blessed.
it's not matter of fact.
Like other people, no insurance on flood insurance, so we had to depend on FEMA. They did what they could do, and of course it's not enough. Yes, that's crazy. But again, we're thankful to be alive, but it's a long haul.
What are you doing now?
Staying in a camper. I've never been, if y'all notice, I'm a big guy. I don't sleep in campers very very well. And the first night we spent in the camper, very grateful with the Asheville Dream Center coming through with one. And
Do you still have the land?
oh yeah, it's family land. Yeah, the land, it looks like a beach now. It's sand, but
Can it be built on?
yes,
Do you intend to do that?
yes.
You want to build again?
Yeah, Samaritan's Purse, we're working with them. We're working with people. It's 80 years, 4 generations.
But the house is totally gone.
No, the house is there. It's down to, they came in and mudded it, but everything in it was completely destroyed. But it's tough. I think we're at a point in Asheville where people's forgot about Asheville, and it's stagnant. Everything is stopped.
I'm going to stop right there. Andy Carmen about Asheville says, I'm in Asheville twice a year for the last 30 years, and what these folks are saying is dead on. Swannanoa is gone. They had 25 feet of water going through. They're still recovering bodies. Horrible. Still. And these, and I apologize. Well, I was going to talk about these ICE arrests and these radical, these criminal types. But this is a celebration of the American spirit and this great president. This, I don't care whatever, this is it. This is paternal. He's the leader. It's incredible. Incredible.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Look at that.
Thank you, Jack.
There she is. Look.
I'm a Pastor Nick's, our church right down the road. We had only purchased in May, and it's a big church. We're a small congregation.
Oh.
And I had people say, what are you going to do with this big building? And I said, only God knows. And we had our dedication, and the storm came the next week.
Wow.
And the outpouring of people. My son brought the first load of supplies. And from there, I stayed there for about 3 months. I slept on the floor for about 3 weeks because the need was so great. The people were so devastated. And I said, I want to be here for them. And they were coming in just day and night, so there's really no need for me to go home. But we had people from Kentucky, Tennessee, Texas, Indiana, Oklahoma,
America.
People from all over. We have not received any help, like from the government or anything. But I said, Lord, if you want us to do that, people
So they came from
all over the states.
But FEMA did nothing.
See that?
No.
FEMA did nothing.
Wasted time and
The locals and the people that knew us. And before the week was over, our church was so packed with supplies we couldn't even walk. Even in our sanctuary, it was up to the platform of things, and in our halls and in our rooms. And we're just now beginning to get a little straightened out. But somebody said, how long are you going to be here? I said, I'm going to be here through the winter and even on, if possible, because when you meet people that's been through the struggle, I had a little lady come up and I said, can we do anything special for you? And she said, I don't want to be selfish, but said, could I have a cup of coffee?
Oh,
And I handed her that coffee, and she stood there and tears just poured. She said, you don't realize how important the little things. Mm-hmm. It's not the big things in life that we have, but it's the little things and knowing that God is our source. I don't look to man. I don't have to have a lot of things. I had trees, about 20 trees down in my yard, but that didn't really matter. Doesn't matter, because the needs of the people is what I want to be there for. God is good. He's very good. And my daughter now, her house is really in bad shape, and I'll let her tell you about that. But thank you, President. This is our
thank you, President.
We appreciate you so much.
I love that. Thank you, President. That is just, oh my God. That should just get into your soul. My God. Thank you, President. Oh, it's beautiful. Absolutely, positively. I don't know what to say. That killed me.
I live out in the Fairview area of North Carolina and near the Back Cave, Lake Lure area. And our area was hit really hard. I was home alone, and my husband had stayed in town because we take care of a little lady that's 98 years old, and she lives out in the woods by herself. And I said, just stay with her and make sure that she's okay. And I got up the next morning, and my first thought was, I want to go see what our road and bridge looks like. So as I was making it down to the road and the bridge, there was no road and bridge. And so, here we are, we're like at a little island, we can't access the main road or anything. And then the fire department came by the next day and said that they were evacuating me and my neighbor because a landslide was going to come. And they told me to get my stuff and get ready. And so while I was getting my stuff and getting ready, there was a knock at the door, so I thought it was the fireman. And I went to the door, and there stood my 21-year-old son. His name's Nathan, and he had drove as far as he could to get to me, but he hiked 5 miles, and it took him a really long time. And he got there, and he said, Mom, grab a bag, we got to go. And I said, son, there's no way I can hike out of here. And he's like, no. He said, we got to go. So we started hiking out, and I seen one of my neighbors who, she had no clothes on. Her skin was like chunked up. It was just, she was blue. She had been in the waters, and where she had went or I don't know, but horrific is just all I can say. But then as me and my son hiked on out, we went through where this place, we call it Craigtown, but there were like a lot of family members there that passed away, like 11 of them, and there were people out everywhere looking for their loved ones, and there were dead bodies. My son's like, Mom, you're going to see things you don't want to see. And so anyway, we got through all that, but I stayed at our church in our sound booth. My husband and I, we just slept up in the sound booth for a couple of months because we didn't have power or anything for about 2 months out there. And then we went back. I've been fighting with FEMA since day one. Our community, there's like 32 homes. We don't have a road and a bridge. We're driving through our neighbor's property. I went to EMS and I said, look, my concern is if we have a fire or we have an emergency out here, you're not going to get to us. You can't get those big trucks up here. And I've called and called and called FEMA, and I said, this happened on September 27th. That's 4 months ago. Well, for us today is still September 27th. We haven't had help. And so when I talk to FEMA, I'm explaining the road and the bridge, and they send me a letter that tells me to to basically fix it and send in my receipts, and they'll refund me some money. I'm looking at a road and bridge that honestly, the bridge itself is probably going to be $300,000, and the road could be close to that also, because we have to have, the community has to have big boulders brought in. We're not a rich community. We can't fix it ourselves. You know, it's just, as far as like house repairs, I'm still pending. I can't get money from FEMA until I fix the road and bridge and send in my proof that it's fixed and everything. It's just, it's been a nightmare, and I totally feel like that we have been forgotten. If it had not been for our fellow American citizens who stepped up to help us,
Yep.
I don't know what we would have done. I have 5 neighbors around me who completely lost everything. You know, I have damage to my house, and I don't feel entitled. I'm embarrassed to even say I need help, because, you know, and sometimes there's even that survivor's guilt is what they're calling it, but you feel guilty to even be alive sometimes. You know, when you look around, you see your neighbors that are gone, and it's just, you know, we need help. I wrote a letter to send to Congress. You know, I don't understand what's going on. If we can't get FEMA help, then will you guys help us? Will you step up and be our fellow citizen? Will you step up and be our neighbor and send us something? Help us get our community back. I could go on. It's just I don't know, it's just heartbreaking. I appreciate you.
Oh,
Good daughter you have, huh? Good daughter. Take care of mom.
you watching this?
Must be great.
My son is great.
No, he sounds like a real leader.
One more time.
The
One
road
more
and
time.
bridge and send in my proof that it's fixed and everything. It's just, it's been a nightmare, and I totally feel like that we have been forgotten. If it had not been for our fellow American citizens who stepped up to help us, I don't know what we would have done. I have 5 neighbors around me who completely lost everything. You know, I have damage to my house, and I don't feel entitled. I'm embarrassed to even say I need help, because, you know, and sometimes there's even that survivor's guilt is what they're calling it, but you feel guilty to even be alive sometimes. You know, when you look around, you see your neighbors that are gone, and it's just, you know, we need help. I wrote a letter to send to Congress. You know, I don't understand what's going on.
Good.
If we can't get FEMA help, then will you guys help us? Will you
Good.
step up and be our fellow citizen? Will you step up and be our neighbor and send us something? Help us get our community back. I could go on. It's just I don't know, it's just heartbreaking. I appreciate
Look at
you.
this. Look at this. Look. Oh.
Good daughter you have, huh? Good daughter. Take care of mom.
Oh.
And your son must be great.
My son is great.
No, he sounds like a real leader.
I don't want to hear anything about Melania being cold and this and all that. Just no. This is, believe me, this isn't some photo op. This is real. Imagine what they think. And if you notice, these people aren't starstruck. They're relieved, like the cavalry's
To
coming.
hike
How would
in,
you have been if he didn't come and get you?
I don't know. I'd just would have been there until, because the only thing we could do, there was no way to get out there. The only thing we could do is just hike up to the church, the first church that was up there, about 3 miles, just to get, you know, maybe what we needed or something. I don't know. He is. Thank you.
Again, thank you very much, everybody. So we're going to be here. We're going to be working with our congressmen and women, and they're going to do a job. And Michael Watley is going to be very much in charge, and you'll get it done.
Isn't that something? What do you have to say about that? What's your reaction? Tell me your take on this. What do you feel? What does that make you feel like? Imagine you were doing like a focus group, and I'm just asking you, tell me what you think. You're asking, what did you think about Trump? What did you think about, how can anybody look at what he's done and not, how can anybody look at what he's done and what he's said and somehow dismiss it? Because you know these disgusting people are going to find fault with it, or they'll mock it, or I don't know, they'll find something wrong with it because of, you know how these people are. But how can you look at this and not say how proud you are of him? How can you not be proud of this man? That's the thing which I find so fascinating. How do you think? How can anybody do that? I've always been, like I've told you, I've always been fascinated when people are really speaking the truth. Maybe it goes back to sometimes people will testify, sometimes in court, sometimes somebody will say something, sometimes there'll be I'm not trying to make everything sound court related, but some people are better. This was so perfect. You could not have conveyed it any better. And what they said, by the way, wasn't particularly, I mean, there were some, and this is going to sound really terrible, okay? There were some words that were used incorrectly, and it made it seem more real. Does that make sense to you? Sometimes it's almost like when somebody is doing something, sometimes if you had somebody who spoke in this stentorian speech and, you know, there's something about this. I got to tell you something. This is the part which I've got to say, and I will say repeatedly. When the president does something well, and he does it well, and he really does it well, I want to be the first one to say it, first one to admit it. But I think there's something else which is more important here. What's the most interesting about all of this, to me at least, is that for a guy that they say is so awkward, you know how they say he's awkward. He tweets, he's crude, and he's you know, okay, something, well, maybe, you know, he doesn't say he said these terrible things, and, you know, he's a convicted felon and all. When he gets the chance to show you something, there is a humanity. Did you pick up on it? There's a humanity, the likes of which you can't put into words. It's like, oh my God. Did you see this? Did you feel this? Did you know this? Does anybody think he was there just for, let me just go, come on, Melania, let's go and pretend like we give a damn. Anybody think that? This is the guy. One of the things which is the most important. It's the difference. Now follow this. See if I can explain this. Not that you won't understand, but I hope my precision is up to speed today. There are people who want to be president and people who want to be president. Somebody might say, I want to be president because I just want to have my name up there and I want to get my, you know, my stuff, and I want to get my, okay, fine. Other people will say, no, I want to be the president where I can act like the president, where I can help people, where I can be the hero, where they can look up to me, where I can do something, where they will look at me and as their hero, their savior. He wants to do that. There are other people, and and certainly, well, Biden was just out of his mind, but I don't think, like, for example, I never felt Obama really wanted to do that. I told you about this story of Lyndon Johnson, how he went there, and these black folks were in a church or something, and the water was right. Hurricane, 1965, I think it was. Anyway, Hale Boggs and Russell Long said, you've got to come and do this. And these black churchgoers were trying to fill sandbags or do something, and the lights were off. And all of a sudden you see this flashlight and you hear this voice, and I paraphrase something like, "This is Lyndon Johnson. You know, I'm your president and I'm here to help." And these folks said, "You know, that sounds a lot like," and it was. And they freaked out. Look at this. David says, "President is boots on the ground." This is the most incredible thing in the world. He absolutely, positively is superb. And don't expect anybody on the left to understand this, because I don't think they have any feelings. They're I know that's a pretty tough statement, but they don't have any feelings. Let me also tell you what he did. Watch this. This is when he puts personal stuff aside.
Lady, we'll start with our first lady. She wanted to be here because of North Carolina, and then I said, "Well, you can do that, but you're gonna have to come to California too."
Look.
And she said, "That's okay." And we got to fix that one up too. You ever see anything like that one? It's who would have thought that could have happened?
I want to say this enough. You can take all of your Vogue and all your stuff and all your funny nonsense, and you can throw it away. She probably looks more elegant in that outfit doing something than anything else. In fact, if she ever does, if Anna Wintour, I don't think it's ever going to happen, would ever ask her, "Would you like to appear?" She should say, "Yes, I want to wear what I wore." Because I've never felt more important and beautiful and powerful than I did then. How many of you right now, listen to me, how many of you cried? Be honest with me. How many of you cried just now? I'm serious. You don't have to say it. How many of you cried? How many of you and how many of you said, why didn't I see this? Why didn't I see this? Why didn't I see it? You know how you don't have to cry, but you felt this. Did you feel this? That's the thing that humans do. It's empathy. It's not sympathy, but it's like, I know what you're feeling, but I feel it. You're empathic. You're not just saying, I dig what you're, no. You're saying, how do I say this? You're feeling it. And when you see something, this is how you are not a psychopath. And I mean this in the best way. Your head, you're watching this. You don't know these people. You've seen this before, but your heart, your head and your heart are connected. I can't say it enough. Your head and your heart are connected. And that's the thing which is the most beautiful about this. When you can look at them and you can say, "Oh." When a little child looks and sees another baby crying and says, "Oh, what's the matter?" That's the best. This is when we're at our best. And all of the people, I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it, not all the left, but the radical left type. So one with the purple hair and the studs and all this stuff, who talk about DEI and diversity and equality and inclusion and all these highfalutin ideas. When it comes to feeling the pain of others, they don't have it. They're almost psychopathic. They don't have it. The head, that's what a psychopath is. Doesn't mean you're a killer. It means your head and your heart are not connected. They're not connected. You see something and it makes no connection. None. That's what it is. Let me tell you something. I think Debbie said it best. Debbie Schoen said, I cried. I was so proud to be an American. I haven't felt that in a long time. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the most beautiful thing in the world. I have not felt proud. We have not, and you know what? Let me just also, I don't want to read for you, Debbie, but I think what's happening too, believe it or not, for the longest time, we said it's being an American is not just waving a flag. It's not just, yeah, that's okay. But it's that heart. It's that empathy part. Cut Up Chatter wrote, "This is not dull. It is heady to watch." Trump! Exclamation point. I hope he gets all them companies in check. I like that, Brad. Why he won. He fits in and really cares about them. Absolutely. Cut Up says the world celebrates relevance and that saves lives. Lori says J6er claimed Chinese Americans supported them during their persecution. Wow. Wow. How about that? Lori says, I'm proud to be an American. Yep. Why didn't we ever see or hear any of this? Absolutely. Bob D, thank you, Bob D. Brad says he's the real deal, best president we will ever see. Trump's election, I think the dam finally broke for the American people. Years of lives and corruption. The final straw was the last administration. Andrew could not have said it better. Therese Pollard said, a leader that cares for the people. Wow. Karen Peterson says they're both back. As seasoned president and first lady, bless them. Brad Rung says, showed real tears when I watched him sign the J6 pardon. Yep. This is something which is, and you know what's also interesting? They don't get it. That's the part which is the most fascinating. These people don't get it. They don't know what the hell you're talking about. What do you mean? They don't like Trump. They don't like anything about Trump. They don't like his attitude, his toughness, his whatever. I don't know. How can you not? It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. How can you not do this? Let me explain. You don't understand this about me. I'm not schmaltzy. I am very hard on people. I am telling you. And while everybody thinks, oh, everybody's so great, more often than not, I'm saying, I don't see it that way. And then I've seen it been the opposite. I'm thinking, no, that's genuine. No, it's not. No, that's genuine. It was so funny. We were talking about acting. And an actor, you're watching the role. Do you believe it? Or is that good acting? If you call it good acting, it's not good acting because you know it's acting. Do you believe it? And I've always believed that there's this thing about us deep down inside, this sense of real decency. Tonight, by the way, I put ICE arrests dangerous Haitian gang members, other people who these horrible people. And the reason why I think we wanted them gone is not because we're mean, but because they hurt this country. Look at these people. And look at that terrible Haitian man who came in and screamed and yelled. And look at those people. This past administration let in the worst people. And we kept saying, why are you doing this? And they laughed at us. And they're still fighting. The real emphasis of these people is not in trying to recoup. You would think the governor of Illinois would say, we're going to send our... No, he was more interested in providing legal services for people who were violating and breaking the law. Linda Hasler says, you cannot buy or pretend empathy. He also met with Samaritan's Purse today. Yep. And he also, I think that was Franklin Graham, I think was that. But he also, when he met, and this is to his credit, you know, deep down inside, he cannot stand Gavin Newsom. But they kind of embraced because he recognized that's the governor of California. And I'm the president of the United States. And I'm speaking to him as a representative of the people of California. That was a different. Now listen to this one. You may not have heard this one today. Let me play this for you, and let me ask you what this means. You ready? Watch this.
In the history of California, I think, has anything bigger than that happened in the whole country ever? It looks like, I don't want to say what it looks like, but you know what I'm going to say. It looks like something hit it. And we won't talk about what hit it, but it is a bad, bad situation. The biggest in the history of California.
What does this mean?
Has anything bigger than that happened in the whole country ever? It looks like, I don't want to say what it looks like.
I don't want to say what it looks like.
But you know what I'm going to say. It looks
You know what I'm going to say.
like something hit it. And we
Something
won't
hit
talk
it.
about what hit it, but it is a bad, bad situation.
What do you think that meant? Do you think if you sat down with the president and you said, Mr. President, I represent a number of Americans, and we are called conspiracy theorists. And the reason why is because we have this terrible tendency not to believe the first line of shite that is handed to us. How much you want to bet the president would say, I know exactly? If anybody, do you think there could be any president who would know better than this president as to what lawfare is and deep state and shadow government? Do you think there is anybody who would understand better? That today, I liked President Trump. I think it's wonderful. If I could have been physically any place, I would not want to be at the ball. That's a fine. I would not want to be. Do you know the story behind those balls? First of all, you got to get invited. You got to pay. They had to walk miles because of the configuration of these safety consideration and the security. There were no Ubers, and people were walking like in high heels and freezing. And then there was no place to sit down. Sometimes there was no food. And yeah, you know what? I have no interest. I would have loved to have been there. I would have loved. Wouldn't you just not and not be there just to observe? I don't want to, gawk at these people, but to be there and say, what can I do? What is it that we can do? What is it that we can do? America is this really funky. Let me tell you something. 9/11. When 9/11 happened, what I remember was that all of these places downtown, all of the restaurant, the best places, did nothing but feed first responders. Nobody even said, let's do it for, no, you didn't know who they were. They didn't have a sign like you go to a food festival and they have a sign out there that says, Daniel Ballou, or no. They just did it. And then one night for 9/11, I heard, I'll never forget this, I think it was Chuck Scarborough, Channel 4, NBC affiliate. And he says, now here's what we need. They don't need money or cash, but this is 23, 24 years ago. They need batteries for phones. They actually had batteries. And there were some phones, they didn't really have iPhones. They needed batteries, water. And this is the part that killed me. You ready for this? They don't have this. Baby booties for the dogs, for the cadaver dogs and the dogs that go through that killed me. I don't know why. That killed me. Because they said, believe it or not, we don't have you can't strap a sock, but they're hurting them. And the booties were perfect. And I thought, booties, who in the hell would think about this? I remember 9/11, when you walked down the street, they had signs all over that said, have you seen this person? I thought to myself, where were you? What do you mean, have we seen this person? Where would they be? They're not walking around lost. People were still. Anyway, I saw the nicest, greatest people. It was incredible. Trump knows there is a shadow government and he cannot trust the DOD, Raytheon, and others to get the true skinny. They all have interests against truth. He knows better than anyone. And one of the best things he did today was canceling the security detail for that rat bastard Mike Pompeo and Fauci and everybody else. Look, let's don't ruin this right now. Let's don't ruin this. How do I say this? The love that this man, for somebody who's quote awkward, he is so empathic. And he loves to be president. He loves that part. And we went through 4 years of this absolutely I can't believe that we even survived that. So, in any event, my friends, I thank you for this. You have been absolutely without peer tonight. Andrew and Linda and Brad and Karen and Therese Pollard and Bob D and Cut Up Chatter and Lori Cuck, everybody. And thank you for that. I will tell you one thing. I will just leave you with one. Let's get together on February the 22nd. Let's party at the cutting room like it's 1999. And the tickets are available. Let's do it, because it's not, hey, here's a joke. And no. This is different. Because it's weird. I see something, and unless I can respond to it with you, it's like it never happened. Does that make any sense? I have to be able to explain this. Much love, Mr. L and Mrs. L. Thank you so much for that. You have become like this weird family. And I don't want to just, tweet it or exit, whatever I'm supposed to do, or like it, or I have to tell you. I have to share it with you. And that's one thing that Fox News can't do, and everybody else, or CNN, or any cable news, they can't do this. So, my friends, I thank you. I thank you. God bless America. God bless President Trump. That man, I loved him, but I've never loved him like this, ever. Thank you, Warren Ocasio. I've never loved him like this. He is just absolutely superb. Oh, look at this. Lori says, I'd love to come, but my dad passed away and they chose February 22nd for the celebration of life. I'd love to be with Lionel. Oh, thank you. It's funny. I didn't want to say this, but today, my parents died exactly on this day, 5 years to the day. So I've been thinking about them. They'd get a kick out of this. So I know how that is. We just, it's very, very interesting. They were great people. They're great people. But it's funny, isn't that wild? 5 years to the day. So in any event, I know how that is. And believe me, I understand how you feel. I remember one thing about when people leave your life. This is a part of the conveyor belt. You know that, right? This is not an oops. This is a conveyor belt. That's the way it goes. Different transitions, different movement. And the thing that you do is never ever, yes, feel bad, but always remember how you love them, and especially when something that they did that made you laugh. When you can see something, you say, they'd love this. They would get it. That's what I do. That's the way I think about that. It's a very interesting thing. Then you never lose them. You never lose them. Never. They're in your heart. It's like they're just in the next room, or you're on vacation or something. You didn't call your parents every day. You didn't see them every day, but they were there. You didn't see them. You were busy doing your thing. Many people moved away. That's the way they are. Just because it's object permanence. In any event, have a great and a glorious day, my friends. God bless America. God bless this great country, and God bless President Trump. We will see you tomorrow. And until then, my friends, remember, please follow Mrs. L as well, too. And we thank you for your support. But remember, the monkey's dead. Show's over. Sue you. Ta-ta.